Good afternoon and happy Friday. My name is Christina Moon. I teach Spanish at Chavot College. That's in Hayward. I'm the OER CTC coordinator for my college as well. And I've been asked by the OERI to come and share what I know about ADAPT. And I hope that today and the next couple of Fridays, you get to learn a little bit more about what you can do in ADAPT.
Great. So we battled a little bit over, not battled. We discussed more what would be the best way to approach these two different resources, so ADAPT and Canvas quizzes. And many people are familiar with the concept of Canvas quizzes, but not necessarily the different options. So what we landed on, and Stephanie and Christina, correct me if this is not what we landed on, I'm going to do a more high-level overview for this particular workshop of the different options in the Canvas quizzes. So I'm not going to dive deep into, oh my goodness, how do you do that question type? But then in the follow-up next Friday, we'll have the opportunity, if the interest is there, to dive more deeply into that. So I'm just going to spend probably less than a half an hour going over those question types and looking at some examples, because that's also a great way. You never know what you don't know. And so we're going to look at some of those options, and then we're going to turn it over to Christina to really dive into the fun that is ADAPT, because I'm guessing most of you here really want to see that cool tool. So if there's any complaints about that, then put them in the chat and we can let Stephanie know that she messed up. No, I'm just joking. If you know Stephanie, she's the sweetest person ever, so we would never do that. Okay, so is that our shared understanding, Stephanie and Christina? I'm tracking right? Okay, perfect. So I'm just going to quickly share my screen. And we're going to take a look at my sandbox really quick. So don't judge me. This is the sandbox, so it's chaos in there. Don't think it's my real live class. I know all of you thought, oh my goodness, this is craziness she's got going on. The first things, when you go into Canvas and you go to create a quiz, we're going to start from the very beginning. Whoops, it's not giving me the option. It should have given me the option, but depending on which campus you're on, a pop-up window is going to pop up, and it'll ask you, do you want to do new quizzes or classic quizzes? Now, each campus has approached this a little bit differently. Some campuses in our system aren't on new quizzes. Some campuses allow it. So you might, depending on which campus you are, have that pop-up question asked. Now, here's the two difference. New quizzes, it does have some additional options available within it, but it's a completely different setup. It operates completely differently. Most instructional designers aren't a big fan of it, and more campuses than not actually haven't even turned it on for their campus. Some of our sister schools are allowing it as an option, but just so you understand the difference, most of us still think classic quizzes is the way to go. And that's what I'm going to be showing you right now. So if you go into a new quizzes and you love the hotspots and all those options that are in there, it's absolutely fine. I'm going to be focusing on new quizzes. Classic quizzes. One thing to be aware, there are some accessibility things they're still trying to work out with new quizzes. So just be aware of those concerns as well. But I just wanted to level set in that I'm going to be looking just at classic quizzes. So when you go to create a quiz, you might have a pop-up. What we're looking at right now is called classic quizzes, not new quizzes. Okay, so you have all of these different options right here. That very familiar rich content editor. The different quiz types, this is one of the things that a lot of faculty haven't had the option or haven't taken the time to play around with. Ungraded surveys, one of my favorite things to deploy at the end of a module, at the end of a course, at the end of a section. It's anonymous. It allows you to get feedback from students in a very real-time way. We all have course evaluations, but sometimes I'll use the ungraded survey in my class if I'm just trying to get feedback. And given that this is an OER specific workshop, this is one of the ways that I ask students, what did you think of this new OER, this new whatever it is that I'm implementing. And that really is a great way to get that feedback. Once the course is over, sometimes it can be difficult to say, okay, what did you think of this new OER, whatever it might be. But using that ungraded survey right at the end of a module of new content you're trying to implement to get the students anonymous feedback is really handy way to leverage those tools. You also have a practice quiz, which will grade, but not put that grade into the grade book. So that allows students to see, okay, this is how I would do, but that grade isn't going to go into the grade book. And then a graded survey, it doesn't have the same options as the questions, but it is required for students to complete. And then an ungraded survey is going to keep it anonymous. Take the time to go through all of these cool options that you have. If you haven't, you can allow multiple attempts. This is also one of the ways to meet different, wait, I'm not going to finish that sentence because it was going to be incorrect. So disregard that. You can allow it to average different scores together, keep the latest, keep the highest, and then you can also dictate how many attempts that they can have. When you're looking at the feedback back option as well, if you allow them to see feedback, if you have multiple attempts, just a disclaimer, it won't let them see the feedback until they've gone through all of their attempts. So that's something to think through looking at these different options. And then your very classic quiz options, assignment options down at the bottom here. One thing, if you are starting to think about different type of security options, you can use this filter by IP address if they're taking a quiz in courses too. And that's something to talk to your on-campus IT department to get help on. Any questions about some of the settings, just implementing the quizzes? Nope, good. All right. So let's jump into the fun part. When you create a question, you can either create a new question, and we're going to go through and take a look at some of these examples right here. So I'm not going to spend time right there doing that. Or you can create a new question group. This is one of my most favorite ways. I don't believe in extra credit anymore, and I won't have time to go into that. But when I did believe in extra credit, or you could do this for a midterm or something else, if you create question groups, which is what I strongly advocate for, instead of just creating quizzes or question banks, excuse me, you can pull a randomized set of questions from any question bank that you've created. This is also another way to help students get every student that takes a quiz a new set of questions. If you are giving a midterm and you want to be able to pull 2 questions from each unit, you can create a pull from those question groups. So I'm just going to say group 1. I'm going to create the group. Whoops. And I'm going to, let's see, pick 2 questions and make it 1 question per group. And it's not giving me the options to pull that in. Oh, here we go. Link to a question bank. Sorry, I forgot to click this. When you link to a question bank, now it's going to pull up all of my question banks. And I want it to pull 4 questions worth 1 question each from that question bank. And so now you see right here, it's going to pull 4 questions from this question bank. And so each student that goes in and takes the quiz, however many of these that I create, and you can mix and match. So I can have a new question, I can pull from question banks. I can do all of those combinations to create the quiz that really matches what I want. All right. Any questions about those options? All right. I didn't give you a time to set. We're good on questions, Stephanie? Okay.
There's one in the chat. It's about, so it says, other than creating a QTI zip file, is there a way to import multiple new questions into Canvas from, say, a Word doc or a text file?
There is, you're not really going to like the answer. So there's a program called Respondus, and each of the instructional designers on campus, I shouldn't say that, Historically, each of the instructional designers on campus did have a license to Respondus. I don't know if this is still the case, but that is the only mechanism currently to be able to translate those Word text files and put them into a import type question. Now, in all transparency, I haven't messed with to see what AI could do in creating a file that could do that. And what are those options? But currently what we do at Reilly College is I have access, license to something called Respondus. Faculty put those Word files into the correct format. It's very particular, and then those could import into Canvas. But right now, that's the only option that I know of. I'm always open if somebody's found a different way, but Respondus is the only way I found to import the text file into that correct format. Okay, so let's look at some of the different question type options. Now, the newest question type option is this formula question, and I actually just learned about this in the last week. So I'm not even going to pretend, I'm not a math faculty. I come from the world of child development, so I'm not even going to pretend to be able to do this. But I want to show you what others have created. So those of you who are brilliantly minded and can do these types of formula questions are aware of the options that you have, so that when you're looking at the great things that Christina is showing you in ADAPT and Canvas quizzes, you can find the best fit to create those assessments for your students. So let's just go and take a look at some of these questions. So you have some very complicated words, again, not even going to pretend, and then different parameters that you can answer. There's a lot of really great guides out there, and I'm going to put one in the chat real quick in case you're interested in it, that walks through, to me, even better than the Canvas guides do, some of the formula questions. And so here is, again, not even going to pretend to make sense of this, but you can see that there are a lot of different options and possibilities within creating a formula question. So hopefully, of the 21 people, brilliant brains out there, this all makes sense, because you can see the different possible solutions. I'm just going to go through some of these options because I figure it's meaningful to somebody out there. And pay attention when you do see some of the accessibility concerns to try and address them. I know math and chemistry and physics, those have a lot of additional burdens to create accessible content when it comes to formulas and that kind of thing. So you can see there's a lot of, with this new option, it creates some really cool possibilities within Canvas. And I just want to show you one more option for the formula questions, and we'll take a look real quick at one of the some of the other types of questions you can integrate. So when I was looking at it, this looked like different types of formula-based questions to have. And if there is any amazing math brains out there, please feel free to add any additional context that I'm not able to do. All right, so those are very cool new options that Classic Quizzes has unveiled. I'm sure that there are some limitations as far as the variables and those types of things, but it was a big advancement over what was previously available. So I did want to make sure and highlight that. Even if you are a quiz expert, this might have been an update that you missed. So I wanted to cover that. All right, so a couple of the more frequently used options. This is the one that we've been exploring in the context of our ASL OER project that we're working on at Reilly College. So one of the things that you can do is quite easily put in videos for students to watch and then to answer questions. You have the access to the rich content editor, just like you do in any of the other assessments in Canvas. So you can upload a video, have students watch the video, and then answer the questions. Make sure that you are not using the native video tool in Canvas. You're streaming it from something else. Reilly and Madeira use Panopto. I'm not positive if Clovis is using Studio or Panopto, but you can use any of those to be able to upload videos and create quiz questions that have videos in it. Another option is the multiple drop downs. And by the way, I pulled all of these sample questions from Canvas Commons. If you've never gone and explored Canvas Commons as a place to pull in quiz questions so you don't have to recreate them, pull in any content. It's really fun. Now that they have the preview option in Canvas Commons, it makes it so you don't have to import everything and before you go and look at it. So you see now you have multiple drop downs. So students would this would drop down and students could be able to see. So let's look and see what that looks like if you have not tried multiple drop downs before. Any questions? So right here, you have the multiple drop downs. You can select it. It's a different form of multiple choice, but now we have multiple drop downs to be able to choose an uploaded image from. And there's one more I wanted to show. And then I think I should be pretty close to time. I think I forgot to label the last one that I wanted to show. Oh, shoot. The last one I was going to show is being able to upload images in there we go. Upload images and then have students label that. So this might be great if you're doing an art type of course or something with a microscope. Here we go. So you can add in an image and then create these labels and have students be able to answer those questions of that label. Let me go back to preview so you can see it a little bit better. So again, having an image labeled using the multiple drop-down option, then students are able to match what this letter, number, whatever it might be, to the different diagram. Okay, so those are just some of the high-level options in Canvas. So this is really a great way to be able to augment your OER if you're trying to design a homeworking system to replace some of the publisher content. Canvas Quizzes has taken the time to really make themselves much more pertinent than they were previous. So if you haven't looked at Canvas Quizzes as an option, then it might possibly be an option that you hadn't explored previously. Any questions? And again, that was just a high level overview of some of the options that are available.
Now there's one in the chat. It's how can you change the question number and points assigned to each question in an automated way versus manually? I think maybe that means like, can you just say 1 point? Like this is the number of points I want for the quiz versus each question?
No, unfortunately, right now with Canvas Quizzes, you have to assign each question a point value. You can change it to create fudge points, but it is one of the limitations as far as Canvas Quizzes is that each question does need to be assigned a point value. I know there's different ways people have hacked that, but it gets a little bit more complicated. So that is certainly one of the limitations of the manual grading of the Canvas quizzes. Okay, I think without further ado, we can turn it over to Christina.
Just an additional question. How about changing the question number from one to another number?
Oh, renaming the question number when you edit them. So if I go to edit this, then right here you can change the question number. the question label. So that's what it is. It's not necessarily the question number, it's the question label. I don't know if that addressed the question.
Amanda, I have a quick question.
Yep.
So I'd like to have a proctorial services if that is available. Have you guys used the proctorial services on the quiz?
We haven't holistically. I do know some instructors have chosen to pay for it on their own, but as the campus, we haven't used them.
Okay, I just wanted to see whether once we adopt proctorial services, where there it may interfere some of those functions that are set up. I don't want any problems.
Not that I'm aware of. It depends on the settings you enable for Proctorio. So if you're saying don't open an external browser, as long as the instructions within the quiz question aren't having students do that, if they're not having them click on something to open it up and it's all embedded natively into the quiz, it shouldn't be a problem.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've been using Proctorio probably, let me see, at least 5 years before the pandemic. And you just have to, in my case, we don't have the video turned on the audio. We just record the screen. The one thing I would suggest is to have like a training or like a part of your welcome module to have a practice exam with Proctorio turned on to make sure that students actually know how that is working. One big thing is that they have to use a computer. They cannot use mobile devices. Proctorio does not launch on iPads or tablets. And that's a big surprise for many students that are not used to that. So just a heads up on that.
Thank you, Christina.
Thank you, Amanda. I think that's a good segue to what you can do in ADAPT. Now, before I begin, how many actually have accounts, LibreTexts accounts? Or how many don't? Because obviously, if you don't have an account, it won't be as much fun since you won't be able to go in and actually play with it. So if you, I don't know how, Stephanie, how do you want to get an idea? Do you want to have people to identify themselves that they don't have it? The instructions on how to get accounts, I believe they were sent out. But again, if you don't have an account, try to do it now. It does take a time to get that approved. So if you you can follow along, and I have some demo pages so you can actually take a look at it. Even if you don't have an account, you can go and also take a look at the activities. But I guarantee you it'll be more fun if you do have an account. So you're not just an observer.
Yeah, and if you go back to the information that was sent out at all the schools on the flyer or in the email, there's information on how to get one if you didn't get one already. You do need 2 accounts, right? You need to get a LibreTexts instructor account first and the ADAPT account is second, right?
No.
No? Oh,
Now it's a single sign-on.
oh, that's
Yes.
wonderful.
Yes.
Okay,
It's great.
that is much better.
Yes, but
So
in the
just
past,
LibreText one account, right?
the
first
LibreTexts one
Oh,
account will give you access to everything, to the H5P Studio side, which we'll be doing it in a couple of weeks, as well as ADAPT and the LibreTexts Remixer. So you just need one account. And let me get kind of started right there. So this is part 1, part 2 of ADAPT training. And since it is going to be recorded, you don't have to catch everything. And then we'll share the slides as well. So you can always go back to the slides to remind yourself of what we did this afternoon. But the part one consists of just showing you all the different things that you can do. And it is a good segue of what Amanda showed on what you can do in Canvas. And I'll show you the other side. You can do that and more in ADAPT. And then next week, if you decide to come back, we'll go into the more advanced features of ADAPT. And that is the more of you can do more than Canvas quizzes could do. And I do have an ADAPT Spanish demo, and it is a Spanish demo, but you can kind of get an idea. And I'll put the URL so you can actually go to the let me see. I'll just put it here so you could actually. I'll walk you through what it looks like. So you can kind of get an idea of what it looks like. So this is a drop-down menu, right? Similar to what Amanda showed. So this is kind of, again, I'm just showing you a sampler of the different type of things that you can do in ADAPT. And then you have, this is called highlight text. So you are asked to highlight only the imperfect tense. So you as a student, you just have to identify which ones are the imperfect. If I choose the wrong one, it will tell me it's wrong, right? I don't think Canvas quizzes has anything like this. Next is fill in the blanks, right? So everybody knows fill in the blanks. But I can tell you that what is the most annoying thing about filling the blanks in Canvas quizzes? Does anybody know? Anybody know? We should give a prize for this. What's the most annoying part?
It doesn't have A, B, C, D.
A, B, C, D.
That's for me the most annoying. It doesn't, it just has the answers, but it doesn't actually say A, B, C, D, like the multiple choice.
Okay. Let's say if you were to put this as a fill in the blanks in Canvas quizzes, you would have to go into those annoying boxes and enter one at a time. And I always mess up something when it is a long paragraph, right? Like maybe it's what Amber is saying, right? The ABC, like the order. I'm like, maybe I put number 5 as number 6, and then the whole thing got wrong, right? And then I find out that I missed an answer. Okay, I can guarantee you in ADAPT, this is so much easier. You'll be surprised how easy it is to actually enter the answers in ADAPT. Next is matching. So you have, in this case, they call it the term box, and then you have the matching answer. You could do this with images too, like have image matching a terminology. Next is this is gonna be on the advanced. So this is gonna be next week, where you could have a video, and my team and I, we created this videos in Powtoon. You could also see the caption as well as the transcription showing up. This is one of the coolest things about ADAPT. Once you upload the video, it does the auto captioning and transcription. And another thing that you notice, see how it's highlighted? It not only is super accurate, and we haven't found anything as accurate as this, especially for foreign languages, which we had so many issues in the past. Punctuation is correct. I think I found one typo one time because of a name, but everything else is pretty accurate. So on this one, students are supposed to watch the video and answer the questions via audio or video. So it's like a speaking test. So obviously that's not an auto-graded activity, right? That you have to go in and grade it. But again, this is a type of question that you can do. This one it was a reading. Oh, I could, if this is annoying, I could also close it if I don't like the transcript. So we have a reading, I put a video, and then we have true, false, right? And then again, this is also an advanced feature that will be discussed next week. It's called Discuss It. So if you ever heard of Boisted, how many of you heard of Boisted or Flip, which doesn't disappear? This is the Boisted version, the OER version that we have in ADAPT. It is probably the most exciting things that I pay with the ZTC grant to get it built. And that's why I'm so proud of it because we've been able to, if any college that is still lucky to pay for Boisted, soon we'll run out of money because it's very expensive to have this license. So now think about this. You could have something like Boisted, but even better than Boisted, integrated as part of all the homework that you have, right? So again, I just want to show you yes, you can do some of these things in Canvas quizzes, but can you do the more in Canvas quizzes, all as one package? So this is kind of like the buffet of things that you can do. I'll show you this example again. They're all in Spanish. For my Spanish class, students were supposed to create stories, like a chain story. They have to choose a group based on a photo, a video photo. It was an image. And then they are given instructions on how to create the story. First student comes in, starts the story, setting who the characters are. Second student comes in, follows the story, and then it continues, right? Until the last person that comes in will listen to everybody and finish the story. This was probably I used to do this in class, and it's always fun because at the end, you never know how the story will end, right? Because depending on who comes in, and then we'll change the story to a different trajectory. But the point is that the students have to listen to everybody's part to get to the end, right? So this is a cool way where students are able to have the audio or video turned on. So if student wants to do the audio recording, you just turn that on and you record, you like it, you listen, you save it, and then that's it. If it is a video, the video will turn on and they will record the video. If the audio or video automatically doesn't pop up, then student could submit, upload a file. So again, that is kind of the demo portion of some of the features in ADAPT type of questions. There are more. What's the single one accents? How good is the system with accents when talking?
I think that question came when you were showing the video one.
Oh, okay. The accent when talking. The videos, we narrate the videos. I think was that the question? Maybe this one? We narrated this. Maybe the question was about the captioning, how accurate that is. It hasn't had any problems. I mean, we narrated all of these videos that we were uploading, but what I didn't show is, remember this part where students have to record their own? The problem with Boisted is the captioning of the students recording is not automatic, and it doesn't happen for languages beyond English, which was a big issue for us, in terms of accessibility. If a student is recording and leaving all these postings in there recorded, other students, unless you actually turn the captioning and request the captioning, it will not be automatic. But in ADAPT, it will be done automatically, the captioning, the same way that anytime I upload anything new, that would happen. You're welcome to try this. I believe that if you access this and record, it will let you record. You can try it and see how it works. We left it like that open, so anybody without an account could go in and check it out. So with that said, I'm gonna go and continue. I'm sure you have a lot of questions about the different question type, but we're gonna get to that. I just wanted to show you what it looks like. Now, in terms of what is ADAPT, ADAPT is, yes, we call it a homework platform, but it's beyond that. I believe that you could run all kinds of stuff. There are some institutions that run their courses without an LMS. This is their LMS, like, because you can do you can have exams running here as well. But for this, workshop, we're gonna treat it as our homework platform. From here, you can not only have your native questions. So the ones that I showed you are native questions, meaning that were created within ADAPT. But ADAPT has the power to bring in other things like H5P, MyOpenMath questions, and web work. So it's you could have, in my case, I don't need, MyOpenMath or web work, but if in your discipline, you need those tools, then you could mix it up. You could have like a whole, set of homework, a folder of homework with H5P, with ADAPT, with, MyOpenMath, all in there as one like assignment. It's before that one, it was the other one. Okay, let me see. ADAPT can also be integrated into Canvas. So I believe the entire district has the API, which is great. And we'll go into that because the moment that you have that linkage between what's here in ADAPT and Canvas, then students will seamlessly just go from Canvas to their assignment, and then the grading will be auto-populated in your gradebook in Canvas. But, like I said, other institutions that don't use Canvas are able to run this independently and just run it in ADAPT. There are different ways that students could also connect and do the homework. They could also use their mobile devices to do their homework, which is also great. I believe they're working on an app that I think it'll be ready by summer. But even now, students could go in and use like their iPads to do their homework. So this is the way that you will see your assignments. And again, you could have exams, midterms, run it as well as homework. This is a learning tree, which will be more on the advanced side of it. If you're familiar with learning trees, you start with a root problem, and then you send your students into this adventure of if you do well, then you move on, you leave this tree and you go to the next tree, right? But if, for example, if the student gets this question wrong, then they're set to different ways of trying to learn that material, and a way to that's what Delmar says. That's why he called it adapt learning. He wanted this to be a way for students. Not all students should be getting the same set of homework, right? Why everybody's getting the same 30 set of homework when maybe I'm more advanced and I could skip the first 10, right? So if you put them in learning trees, the student that needs the extra help will be sent to an extra video, extra, reading, do the question again, and send them all the way back to the top, trying to see if they could master that point, and then move on to the next tree. This is something that they're trying to work on, and I believe, obviously, you see a chemistry example. The sciences were the first ones to build this type of trees. I'm very interested to do the same thing for languages, where students coming at different levels, and we want to, especially when they're placed into your course and you don't know, like they need to review certain things before they could continue. So maybe sending them to trees like this, then it will solve the problem of having students at different levels and able to catch up. If you have any questions when I'm going over this, please let me know and stop me. Am I still sharing the screen?
Yes, you
Yes.
are.
I am, okay. It's just, I have the weirdest thing today with Zoom. I can't see everything that I'm showing. Okay. So the goals for today's workshop is first, we're gonna access ADAPT. Hopefully everybody has accounts. We're gonna find some ADAPT questions collections that are already there. So you can actually, and hopefully you find something in your discipline. If not, just adopt a discipline. If you're looking to something to adopt Spanish because there's plenty for Spanish. Learn some. I saw somebody that for French, great. Usually have somebody from languages, so it's always good. But there should be something. If not, at least look for one that you catches your attention. Then we're gonna create a course, an ADAPT course, and set the gradebook integration with Canvas. And then create an assignment, add some questions, and then we're gonna get to the fun part, which is creating some new questions. We're gonna start with the easy ones, multiple choice, select choice, which is like the drop-down menu, and fill in the blanks. So that's kind of the plan, unless somebody wants to do more stuff. But depending on how much we get to cover today, we'll decide what we push to next week. And if anybody needs a break, we can also take a little break while and I created some question for different disciplines if you're looking, because we wanted to ask people to bring in questions. Yes, we can make up some questions, but it'll be more interesting if you're actually using real questions for your classes. But if you're looking for things that you can't think of right away, I got you some questions that you can use and copy paste so you have something to play with. Did we find out if everybody has accounts?
I don't think everybody does. I think some people are going through the process right now.
Okay. But so we'll go through it. And first you will log into LibreTexts, and it looks like this, the login to Libre1. And once you do that, that should open you the door to this, which gives you access to all these items here. I'm not gonna go through all of these. We're gonna focus on ADAPT, and Studio is here. So this is the one that we're gonna do in a couple of weeks. This is the newest one called Forge, that is using AI technology. I don't know much about it yet, but I think it's going to be really cool. Conduct Commons is where it's kind of like the library of all the resources. Conductor is where you're going to go for remixing. When you are doing your textbook remixes, this is where you start your project. Jupyter, don't know much about this one, so I just know that it has coding in it, which I'm not very good with that. But all these things add to what the power of LibreTexts has. So I just want to point out it has a lot of parts. You might not need to know any of these. You just need to know one thing maybe. But if in your area these things are needed, then obviously you're welcome to explore there. So we're gonna go into ADAPT. So once you go into ADAPT, you go to the dashboard, and within the dashboard, we're gonna search questions. You can also browse the learning trees that I mentioned. I don't know how many trees there are now. Public courses and the commons. Now, in terms of the search questions, as of yesterday, there were 227,142 public questions. there are as many that are not public. For many reasons. Some are just not real questions. Some are being created now, so the people are not going to publish it until they're done with their collection, for example. That's what I did with my team. Our Spanish collection was not public until we made the entire, we didn't want random questions to be everywhere. We just wanted the entire course to be published all together, so they were hidden until they were published. But right now, there are plenty of things that you can search for. There are also public courses. Now, this is where you can go and search courses that are already being used and people have shared. And the comments are the collection. Sometimes you're going to see duplications between the public courses and comments. So it's a good idea to go check both. And I'm going to go to, oops. So for example, if you go to, okay, because it locked me out because I went in to the demo site. Okay, it asked me to come back in. Search questions.
Now, I understand that if you don't have a course, you wouldn't have any materials on that initial platform when you enter ADAPT, correct?
Correct.
So what we saw on your page might not appear for us in that way because we haven't really created anything yet.
Yes, but by the end of this workshop, you will have something. At least
Super.
At least one.
Super. Thank you.
At least one thing. But
cool.
Yes, mine has a lot of it. It's kind of like Canvas, right? You have a lot of Canvas sites. That's kind of what my mess looks like. And then yeah, the active ones are at the top, and the inactive ones, the ones that have the course has ended, they're at the bottom. So kind of similar to what happens in Canvas, where you publish and unpublish things. So yeah, I was right. That's exactly the number that is still there. So nobody has added new questions. We're gonna change that today because we're gonna create new questions. But again, just quickly, you can check the type of, if you're looking for just auto-graded activities, the technology, so we're looking for native questions. And let's say I'm looking for, I don't know, I was thinking of numerical because Amanda's, was it a math question? And I got curious to see if there's anything here. And so I did a search and I found 110 questions that are numerical. And I have no idea what courses these are for. What is this for? Has some equations. Anybody know what this is? Anyways, so you can see, let's say maybe I'm interested in this one. Do we like this one? Maybe I do. So I can make a heart because I'm gonna put it in a folder, and you're gonna see I have 100 million folders, but I'm gonna call it my new favorite and add it there. So basically, I'm just pinpointing the ones that I like. You might wanna, if you are in a discipline that has a lot of stuff, this will be a good way to just grab things that you can think about whether you wanna use it later or not. This has to be chemistry, right? Anybody from chemistry? Like maybe
It's a chemistry question.
Yes. Do we know the answer for this? Don't know. We can view the answer, I guess. There's the solution. Maybe I like it. I'll put it in there. I add it to my new favorite. Okay. So if you do have an account, try to do a few of these searches, and then add it to your favorites, so we can come back and see if you wanna clone this activity. And I'm gonna talk about cloning, which is something so cool. Yes, we're not gonna clone animals or anything like that. We're just gonna clone activities so you can edit them, or you can recreate, many versions of the same thing without having to type up the whole thing again and again. So if you think of the tagging are not necessarily the best. I think I was searching for accounting since I knew, let me see, I need to reset. Since I wanted to see if there were some accounting questions. So there are 474 questions with the tag accounting. They're, I think, mostly multiple choice questions. Are they good? I don't know. They're multiple choice, just let's say I like it and I just add it. So a few of these like that. Then we're gonna move on to courses. So we can search by discipline. What discipline should we look for? Don't make me choose. If I choose, I'm gonna choose Spanish.
Yeah, and I'll choose child development. So you guys are stuck with your Spanish or child development.
We need
For
to be more
biology, it's Stephanie
biology.
Chazen.
Do we have anybody from biology?
Stephanie's here from biology.
Okay. Oh,
There's
yes.
actually quite a few people here.
Yeah,
Okay.
biology
Well,
over
we're
here.
we're gonna be neutral, Amanda. We're gonna choose something that is not one of ours. So biology. Now, biology has been if you teach microbiology, Ying Liu from City College of San Francisco has been working on which of, well, was her training. Oh, this one, Intro to Genetics. I believe that's one that she's been working on. So there are really cool things that you can check out, especially if there are projects that are being worked on. This is a test. I don't know. But it's, again, she's using the matching. Oh, look at that. And she put the image too. This is the matching. That looks very nice too. Maybe, okay, I'm gonna heart that because I like that. I'm gonna add it to my favorite to look at it later. But let's say you like the entire thing. Like you love the entire introduction to genetics that she has created. I could bring in the whole thing and import the course to my adapt assignments and courses. So which one was the biology? And then it was this one. So I could look at it, but maybe what I want is import the entire thing. So I could just go ahead and import this. And oh, what happened? It didn't let me import. Oh, okay, maybe I'll go to something else. Okay, don't worry, we're gonna be able to bring it differently. That's strange, it should be working. Once you import it, if it had worked, it would have shown up here as a course. Kind of like when you copy like a Canvas course from somebody, it will show up in your thing. And yes, I do have a lot of them. It's pink means that it is not active anymore. That's how I can see and then you can move it around. So going back to because I did not follow what I was gonna do, but I kind of did. You were supposed to find some activities, heart them, so they will show up in your favorites. And maybe I'll stop here. Anybody find anything interesting? Anything useful? If not, I could always tell you Spanish. Uh, and I know that there was somebody from French, right? There's some French material being also created. My colleague at my college is also doing French. So there's also for French. Okay, so next, we're gonna go ahead and move on to creating an ADAPT course and setting up the Canvas integration. I should have asked this before. Anybody has played around with ADAPT before today? Nobody?
We
I know
had
Amanda has.
Yeah, we
Hmm?
had an adapt workshop last spring, but he didn't go much into actually I didn't even see some of these question types that you just showed us. So I think it's new. I
Okay.
have a question for the question types. Do you know, I know you showed the numerical one, but one of the things a lot of our faculty want is this they want the variables to be able to be randomized. And so what that means is like you have two variables in your question, and this
Mhm.
applies to like math, but also like physics and accounting and all these other math-based classes. Say there's two variables, and then there's an answer, and what like Cengage can do and what that Canvas formula-based question can do is it randomizes each variable for each student. So it changes the numbers in the question for every student every time they take the quiz. And then it computes a new answer.
Okay.
Does ADAPT have a question type like that?
So I know for that's a great question, and I was trying to think of that after we had our meeting. So in order for that to probably work, you will need not necessarily the adapt native questions, which is what we're doing today, but maybe remember that the technology behind adapt is the fact that you can use native questions, right? The ones that were created in adapt, but also integrate other type of questions, right? So MyOpenMath of web work might be the technology needed to do those type of more program coding, I don't know what you want to call it, where those things are done. I know for a fact that, for example, for economics, they are working on some tables where I don't know, what kind of, they're called something with tables, where you put in numbers and it will, as part of the homework, where you are able to get different answers as you put in the numbers. Does that make sense what I'm doing? I know that there are teams asking for that. So the same way that I had requested to discuss it in ADAPT, and you can see that, right? If you were to go to create a new question, questions, you will see that the options, and we're going to be doing this, but so you have the basic questions. You have multiple choice, true, false, numerical, multiple answer, fill in the blank, select choice, matching. If you click on all, you will see all of them. Now, some of these come from the nursing project that was requested by the nursing project from Wisconsin. There are something called bow ties and different things. Now, highlight text, remember the one I showed you as part of the demo, comes from actually this group. It's not one of the basic ones. Discuss it. This is the one that I showed you, like the voice thread. So it's another one that was added. I believe whatever this table is going to look like for economics will show up here as another type of question. So if it is something, what you're asking about the variables is something that could be added here, or if it is part of a different, like is it fit in under MyOpenMath world, or is it a web work, then that could also be added into your assignment. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'll look into it. No, we'll put that as a advance for next week. If I'm able to
Yeah,
come up with a question, today we'll keep it to the simple ones. Next week we'll do the
yeah, that
hard
makes
ones.
sense. It's a complicated one.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Didn't
No,
mean
no, no,
to
no, no, no.
derail.
It's a good question though, but it made me think because again, I can show you all kinds of cool things with Spanish. I don't know the other ones. So we're gonna work on creating. So who wanted to create? Susan, you wanted to create something because your dashboard is empty, right? You want yours to look like mine. We're gonna go ahead and create a new course. You're gonna select your college. We're gonna call it, I don't know, Clovis Adapt Training. It's gonna ask you to select a discipline. I guess I'm gonna keep it. I'll keep it for Spanish for now. Although it's not Spanish. You will know which ones are required because they will have asterisks. The other ones you can just leave it. For now, since we're just playing with it, you can call it, training or whatever. It will ask you for a section number. You could put a real section number, or I just put one. The CRN, the course number, also you need to put one. It could be real, it doesn't have to be real. The term, this is more for you than anything else. Start date and the end date. Just put it at the end. So you get to that's very simple, right? Public. What's cool is that if you don't remember what these are, you can go to the question mark and then it will give you information on what it is. It's whether you want to make it public. Remember the public courses that we were looking at? This is where you will say yes if you want to share. If you don't want to share, you just keep it as no. When would you turn it yes? Is, for example, you are the lead for your discipline and you want to share this course, the master course, with the other faculty teaching the same course, like your part-timers. Then you probably want to turn it yes, so they could come in and copy your course, right? But until then, you just keep it as no, and then only you will be able to see it. Okay, the alpha beta, I'm not gonna go into details on this, and there is an explanation on this, is again, it's being tethered to the master course or not. So for example, you would say yes if you are the master course, like the one that is designing and has all the courses. And then if you want to have the other people still get all the changes being made on the master course, if you want those people to get it, then you will keep everybody connected. So this is when you have it on. But if you don't want that, you just keep it as no. Again, the only time you will probably turn it on is if you want to make sure that the other people or your other sections, let's say you teach multiple sections. Nobody asked me this. What happens if you teach multiple sections of the same course, right? The same way that you should have multiple Canvas sites, the number of Canvas sites equals to the number of courses you would have in ADAPT. They have to match 1-to-1.
Christina, I've gotten this question and I don't quite have the answer. Do you know what happens if courses are cross-listed in Canvas?
If it is one course, one
Yeah.
Canvas shell, then
It won't have a problem.
It won't have a problem.
Okay, that was the answer that I was giving, and I thought, well, I should probably check on that.
Yeah, it goes back to the Canvas.
Okay.
But I had the question where like I teach 3 sections of Spanish 1, and you probably saw here that I have 3 ADAPT courses in for Spanish 1, because I have 3 Canvas courses for Spanish 1. So they have to match 1-to-1. And so again, if you want to have this turned on, the alpha beta, I would think about which ones you want to connect. For example, if you want, like, even if you don't want to share with anybody else, but you want to, it's you, right? You want to create one, and then you want to copy that 2 times because you teach 3 sections of the same course. You want the changes made on the first one to go to the other two. So you don't have to go find the other two and do those changes again and again. So those you want to keep it tattered together because you want all kind of moving the same way. But if not, I would just keep it as no. Next
Christina,
yeah. Mhm.
I don't know what happened, but for some of us, including myself, I was logged into ADAPT and could see all my stuff. I don't know if they're working on something at this exact moment, but now I can't see, like we're all seeing the same thing. We're all seeing just this one course
Okay.
that says demo. I don't know what happened.
Oh, okay. It's because all of you were in demo. Remember what I had to do? Okay, so you close that because, okay, everybody was on the demo side. So close that, and then it will ask you to log in again.
Okay.
Log out and then log back in. It logged us out of our account because we were looking at the demo side. So that's what happened to me too. I had to log in back in again. Sorry about that. That was
Okay.
that's a great question. It didn't recognize that you had left. So now you want to come back. Another cool thing that they have done is this thing. If you have more than one account, so in my case, I have my personal college account and I have my team account. I could go back and forth between these two without having to log in and log out. Which is super cool. So if you have more than one account because you're working on project with other team members, I could, before I had to log out all the way and then log back in or have two different browsers. Now I could just go back and forth without any issues. I could go back to my team account. It will tell me that I'm logging out. And now you can see my team account. And then I said, oh, I'm done here. I could go back to my Chabot account and then go back. This is like very recent, and I think it's super cool because if you juggle multiple accounts like I do, it is very convenient. So we are
That
here.
that did fix it. I tried it. I signed all the way out, signed back in, and now it
Okay.
works. So
That
for
works?
everyone else in the chat that was having the same thing, try it.
Everybody back on? Great. So the next question, and this is probably the most important question here, is LMS, yes or no? Most likely you want to say yes. This is very new. Once you say yes, there is another question. LMS only entry, yes or no? So they included this if you want students, to come in a different way. In our case, you just keep it as yes. You want LMS only entry because we want our students to come in through Canvas. But this is for campuses that are not using LMSs and they want to have students come in directly to Canvas. The same way that you created an account, students can create their own account and come in and get invited to the course. So you don't need an LMS sync-in like we do. So you manually, you would have students come into your course. So for example, if you teach at a different institution where they don't run Canvas, or like a K through 12, they don't use Canvas, then you can still use ADAPT, but they would have to create student accounts, not instructor accounts, the same way that you created it, and then they get invited. Anyway, so after that, say yes, save. So now we have, if we go to my courses, we should have, that should make Susan happy. We have one course, right? One course. And you can see it's pink. Pink, it's kind of like publishing and unpublishing that happens in Canvas, when you keep it. So if it's pink, that means that students cannot see. So you can keep it like this, but remember, if students cannot get in, it's because you need to make it shown. Now students will be able to see it because now you opened it up. So if you go into Clovis Adapt training, there should be nothing in there. Correct? Now, let me know if you are able to see this. Do you see this blue box that says this is a course which is being served through your LMS? Do you see that?
I see it on your screen. I don't see it on mine. Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Yes, I see it.
So, okay, but you don't see it on your screen? Do you, on
No.
your...
No, I just see my course.
So you don't have this thing right here, like this?
Let me see. No, no.
No?
AP, no,
Did you say yes to LMS?
I did.
Anybody else here?
Oh, I see it.
I was gonna say, I was just gonna say, sometimes there's a couple of minutes delay,
Okay,
and
okay.
only
Yep.
because I've been in a training exactly where
Yeah.
you are, Christina, going, I don't know, why not? And then it shows up.
Okay. Just want to make sure because this is my first training that I'm doing when I have API access. So I'm so excited. It took me a year to get my Canvas people to finally upgrade to API.
We're just gonna
Before-
brag about State Center that we've had it for like 8 months now. Just FYI, how great we are, Christina.
I know, and I was so jealous of all these colleges that had it. We were one of the first ones that did the ADAPT integration with the old way, with the LTI, and never upgraded because they kept saying all these things, and we're like, I said, enough is enough. I cannot be doing training when everybody has the upgraded version and I don't. So now it's great because now I could choose where I wanna connect, right? Obviously right now, because this is nothing, right? Unless you wanna connect it to a real course, this is where you will do the integration. If you know which course you wanna select, then you will put it there. But for now, we're just gonna leave it as is, since this is a dummy course. We're gonna go ahead and create a new assignment. We're gonna call it, what are we doing? What's the first question type that? Let me see. We're doing a, I don't know, we're gonna call it module 1. So I can't think of anything else. Module 1, week 1. If you have a template, this is another great thing you can do. In my team, we created a template. That way we don't have to copy this again and again. But if you don't, for now, we just leave it as is. What type of activity this will be? I'm just calling it homework. Points. You can specify number of points for each questions. You can determine by weight. I'm just going to leave it as is for now. And you can change the points later on. But for now, we'll just leave it as that. And we're going to do auto-graded activities. So we're going to leave it as real-time graded assessments. And let's see, contact instructor if, okay, we can do, that's a new one. I didn't, that wasn't there before. Number of attempts. This is where you can decide you want 1, 2, 3, 4 or unlimited. I like doing unlimited as long as they do the homework. I'll just give them the points as long as they submit it by the due date. Penalty, you can put if there's any penalty. Hence, you can leave it as that. Solutions available are automated. I'll just put 0. I want to get to the question type. Do not, you can say that you don't accept after the due date, but you can also say that you do, but mark late, or if you want to have deductions, you can put deductions too. You want to give it to everybody. But here's also where you can, if you have students coming in late, for example, adding the class late, here is kind of like the same way that you do in Canvas. You can assign, or students that have accommodations and need extra time. This is where you would select the student that needs extra time or a different due date. But for now, everybody has the same due date. Final submission. I like putting the final submission as the last day of class. And see if it let me. Did I forget anything? There. So now we have this basically folder called module 1. And if you click on that, there's nothing in there, right? We have nothing in there. So now we need to fill it up with assignments. Remember that I put a few of those courses, of those questions from before, those random ones. So I could go and add questions. And I'm gonna go to my favorite folders, and I called it, didn't I call it my new favorites? I called it my new favorites, right? So I have a few of those questions, random things that I grabbed from before. And I'm gonna start with the chemistry question. Remember that one? I'm gonna click on that plus. This one, I'm not sure what that was. So I'm gonna add these because we had them. So then I go to view questions. So on this module 1, I now have this question, this one, and this one. So I have 3 questions in there that I just grabbed. So you can easily do that. Right now, all the questions are worth 10 points. You can change that if you want. But unless it's something you really want to change, I would just leave it as is. You could definitely come back and change that because I'll let you know a secret later on. It doesn't matter what you do here necessarily. If you want the calculation, what the students will see and show up in Canvas, that's what actually ends up being matter, not the individual questions here, unless maybe one question is worth a lot more than the others. So now that we have module 1, 3 questions that I brought in, remember this thing about cloning that I mentioned to you? So let's say I wanna, let's go back to this beta oxidation question. If I click on edit, what does it say? It said that I cannot edit. Why cannot edit this question if I brought it in? Anybody know?
Because you're not the
Yes.
creator of the question.
It says right there, I'm not the creator. So you cannot edit somebody else's question. But guess what? The moment that you clone that activity, now I have a copy version of that. So if you have done remixes in LibreTexts, and have you, anybody done remixes here? No, you, Amanda, because I know you've done it. And then the concept of forking, which I thought it was the weirdest name, forking and unforking. But similar to that idea, now that I have a copy version of this beta oxidation, I should be able to edit, because now I'm not editing the original, I'm editing the clone copy version. So now I could go here and change, what can I change? I don't even know what to change, but I changed that, right? And then I changed the solution to 9, which is probably not the correct one. And it will ask me why I'm changing this. And you could put it any reason. I usually just put an X because I don't want to, it's like, I want to do it, I'll do it. But so this is the nice thing about cloning an activity. Yes, I cannot change the original, but I could make a clone and change the next one. So this is cool, not only because I could edit somebody else's question. This is really cool because you can create multiple versions of the same question, for example, with just changing a few things. So instead of rewriting your entire question again, maybe you would, in my case, I would change the verbs, right? Or the subject or whatever it was, something small. So instead of having to type the entire thing, I clone the same activity and I change a few things, and now I have another activity.
Christina, I have a question for
Yep.
what you just mentioned. So then let's say it's the same group, it's the same questions, but with different numbers. Can we group those like 2 or 3 questions as if it's just one? So each student get different questions?
Yes, I haven't done that, but it is part of the properties where you could have here the random sampling. And I believe if you number around, so in this case, I would have to group this entire module 1 as 1. So for example, randomized assessment. So I would have to say, I never done it. That's a good one. So kind of like what Amanda was showing with the question bank, right? Where you have a set and then randomized versions will show up for, different students. Is that what you're asking?
Correct.
Yeah. So you can do the same thing here, but I believe that you have to group them together. I'll come back
Christina,
to
we
that
have
question.
we have one more question in the chat. If the original creator of the question edited after we add it to our course, will the question change in my course?
This one, yes. So for example, this is the original, right? The beta oxidation one that I cannot change. But what would happen is you will receive a notification that a change was made. So similar to what happens in LibreTexts, if a change happens in the original book, you will and then you're still connected to the revisions that happen, you will get a notification and that this original one was updated, but not your clone version, because your clone version you had broken that connection with the original. Does that answer that question? Okay. And now in about a little over 30 minutes, we have to go through all the different question sets that you're going to have to create. That we're going to create.
Christina, today's
Yeah.
session ends at 1:30.
Oh, it doesn't 1:30. Okay, then we have 6 minutes.
Yeah, next week, the idea is you could choose either to learn more about ADAPT or Canvas quizzes. So I put a form in the chat if you guys that are here today could fill it out and let us know which one of those you're most interested in going to, and also what you would like to learn at those.
So I guess it's a good time to break because so next week we can just concentrate in actually creating the activities, and then from easy to more difficult. And I hope that you come in with actual question things. So I just showed you kind of what I wanted to show people. Come in with something like this, where you could have questions. Let's say I want an example for a fill in the blank, an example for drop down menu, and one for highlight text. That way you don't have to use my version. That way you would actually use something for your discipline.
Krista,
I was just going to say, if anyone's having any trouble getting their account authenticated, just let your OER lead know. Try to do it before next week and we can help you. You can, if you're part-time, usually sending the schedule that's posted online with your name is enough. But if it doesn't work for you or you need help finding that, just let your OER lead know.
Thank you. I have two quick questions for what you just demonstrated, Christina. So the one we have original owner's work and we copy. So so I wanted to change to my, like I used the copied version. So can I just delete the original? So I don't even care. So I only used my version based on the copied. So
Yeah.
then you give a proper credit to the original owner of the question?
Great question. That's a great question. So if the original question was done properly, all that information should still be there, right there.
Okay. And then another question here is, let's say I don't want to create from the scratch, but like, let's say I go to open resources, there are a lot of questions attached, but it's not part of this adapt yet. So I copy and paste it, but I need to give all the proper credit to those people who already created. And I don't know how I can do that. That's one of my questions.
Where are those questions?
Like a OpenX, there is a lot of questions in words in part of
because there is a way to bring in bulk imports to adapt. And you see this one also, the Canvas QTI. You could technically bring in questions in your Canvas quizzes to here. So bring the whole thing here. And if there are a lot, what I would suggest, put a request to see if LibreTexts could do the bulk import. So you're not doing it yourself. And if the original has all that information in there, it should come in. I'm not guaranteeing it, whether it will translate that into this, but it should come in with the correct license, I would assume.
Okay, so let's say I have a lot of quiz on my Canvas already, because whenever I go to training of Adapt, and I've got so confused because there's so much information. So I wanted to make my life easier. But then what I hear from you, all the quiz that I already created in Canvas, can I move that to Adapt too?
By Canvas QTI.
Okay, good. But then they're gonna give me a credit me as a original creator
Right there.
automatically?
Right there. You will put it in right there. You would, I never done it. Amanda, maybe this is one you can do next week. It's a connection between Canvas and Adapt. I never done it, but I know that I have, I know colleagues that have done it, bringing in Canvas quizzes to here. And actually, they're making it easier than before. You bring in the file, the zip file, and then since you are the author, you put in your name, right? And then the license that you want, and if there is an OER that is connected to, you put it in there. So once you bring it in automatically, the same way that you saw the one that we clone, it will show up there like that, the licenses already there.
And then I only question that I have, since Stephanie shared with me of this formula question, so I created a lot of formula questions too in Canvas quiz, which I have like 20 different versions with the same questions. I don't know whether this system Adapt can have 20 variations of the variances with the same question.
That is a good point. I haven't tried that one, I have to say. Now, it says that they're only supporting, now, what is that called? Is it numerical?
I think it's a formula question. I think which
you can import questions directly from Canvas. We currently support. It'll be a good test case to do whether that works, because I would have to do a little research on that one.
I don't think it shows here. Okay, got it.
In the meantime, you can do a trial run, maybe a small batch, and see what brings and how it looks. Because again, some of the stuff might not come out as clean as, I mean, they're technically different platforms. Things might be a little wonky as they come in.
Got it. I think if it is multiple choice questions and true false, it's pretty straightforward. But if it is variations that I added into,
yeah, I have a feeling like things that are easy, the basic ones they call it, those might be easier to translate in between the two platforms, but they might come, but they might not look as what you would want, maybe.
Thank you, Christina.
So I think, wow, we covered a lot. I don't know, Stephanie, is this how we had planned? Not quite, but
Yeah, and if you guys haven't filled out the form, I can see quite a few of you did already, but if you hadn't, it's just 3 questions. It's not long. We'd really appreciate it, but I mean, thank you everybody for coming, and thank you, Christina and Amanda. It was really informative. I learned a lot, and I thought I knew a lot of it. So, thank you.
thank you.
Thank
I hope to
you.
see everybody next week.